is Joshua Okikilu. I am a graphic design student at Star. I'm about to finish off this semester this May. So we were tasked by my professor to conduct some interviews, some little mock-up interviews to see how it would be in the real world to done. So that's why we're here today.
Okay.
I've written down a few questions just to ask. So
Okay.
first question is, what is your position at your company?
At my company, I am the principal graphic designer for Rachel Designs. So I am the CEO and the founder here.
Do you enjoy that title?
Absolutely. When you own your own company or in the position to design what you want to design and be able to be a steward of what you love to do, it's always a great feeling.
That's good. What is a day-to-day typical day?
90% of the time, my days start like 6 a.m. where I get up, grab some tea or detox drink and get myself ready. If I don't prepare weeks out or the night before, I would use from 7 to 8 or 7 to 9 to kind of prep using some of the content I may have shot in that night or some emails that I need to read over. So between 7 and 9, once I'm finished, eating and taking care of myself from 6 to 7, I will do that before I start, answering emails. If I need to make a call or talk with a vendor, whatever the case may be, I'll start my day at 9. Usually I'm accessible from 9 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. So that's typically how my day is here.
That's great. What skills would you say are needed for your job?
For my job, being that I created my own title for as, opening up my own business unexpectedly, I'm grateful that I have all the skills that is necessary to run a business. I'm not stating that I have a certificate in all of the areas that may be needed, but I would say because I run a business, bookkeeping is one of the key skills that is needed, especially if you don't have the budget to have a bookkeeper for you. So I'm grateful that I already have skills in that. I also feel like being able to communicate, answer emails, being an assistant of your own. Now, luckily for me, I did hire a personal assistant, so she does come when it's needed. So that also helped me delegate like some of the duties that I would typically do, but because she is very hands-on, she's able to, handle those duties as well. So I would say, depending on what pathway in the industry you're leaning towards, will make sense for the skills like you will need. I would say for sure, if you want to be very diverse, I would say having skills in illustration, Photoshop, InDesign, knowing how to edit, like making short film or like infomercials, things like that, I would say, because I don't know what path you're going. So it's kind of based on where you want to take your career inside the industry, because the industry is just so big and it's not like a broad like career. So I will say, base it off what you want to lean into. But obviously, if you're trying to join a team, most time principal graphic designer wants someone that's very diverse and things like that, unless they typically leading into somebody that, for example, want to be a brand designer and that's their niche. So I would do my homework on that, but it would never hurt to like have so many skills under your belt.
How did you get into your line of work as a designer, and do you enjoy it?
Okay, so for me, how I got into graphic design, at the time I didn't know it was design, would be curiosity. curiosity kills the cat, I love to say. Because my mom put me on punishment, I so happen to have to sit with myself. And back in the day, I'm not dating myself, but we, would have to sit with ourselves if we was like being bad or whatever. So I'm not saying that I was totally bad, but I definitely needed to be in timeout. So by me being on timeout, I started like scanning my room. My sister, she's also an artist as well, so I noticed that she has so much art on the wall, but because I was such a busybody and always more into sports and things like that, I didn't like lean into whether or not if I had a gift like her or my mom. So I had got a sketchbook prior to the punishment, but never used it. So of course, I was not able to use like any device and things during timeout. I decided to pull the sketchbook out to kind of kill time. And by me drawing, looking at images as a reference, I noticed that I had a skill naturally from my mom and sister. So after being amazed at the outcome, I, leaning towards that aspect of designing. But then later in life, I started being a personal assistant at one of the organizations I was a part of, and I noticed that they used to always do agendas, and I traveled a lot with the organization, and I noticed how signs and flyers was all over the place and things like that. So I was admiring that type of work. So once I got into school and talked with an advisor, they told me the line of work was considered as graphic design. So I was eager to learn more about visual communication to tie into the sketch aspect of this industry. So yes, and to also answer your question, yes, I do enjoy what I do.
Do you find time to have a creative process whenever you're working?
Yes, especially when I'm working with clients, I do actually carve in any creative process because I feel like it's very necessary, being that my business is like online based. So I use Zoom as a tool to connect with my clients, and I usually have them to fill out a form to where before the meeting take place, I am able to kind of come up with like a mood board and dissect what they're telling me to like present it during the 4 phases. I normally have 4 phases where the first time we meet, we kind of go over everything that they're asking for, and it's almost like a joint project between me and my clients where they feel like they're a part of the projects in the process, where like I give them homework. Obviously they're giving me homework because they are coming to me to execute their vision. So it's more so like we're working together to find out what's best for like the color palettes, the words that best describes what they're needing. So it's definitely a creative process going on. Also because 9 out of 10 I don't meet with my clients. Everything is done through Zoom, and I'm usually using all the tools that it takes to execute the project at the end of the deadline. So yeah.
Do you ever feel stifled or kind of challenged for creativity when working with clients?
Yes, because most time outside of logos, I normally get like projects that I never really spent time on during college days. So it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I need to go to YouTube because I think I never done something like this before. But what Lone Star has helped me is like giving me the tools to be able to think and work out the process to come up with a solution. So I'm always challenged for sure, even when I'm doing logos, because of course we go through certain process and steps in order to arrive to a logo. But being that sometimes I take freelance work, especially if it's something that I know that I can execute, I am always challenged. So yes.
Speaking of freelance, have you ever gotten opportunities to do freelance, like outside of work, or maybe before you started with your own company?
So I'm always doing freelance for Rachel Design. I never did it outside of my own company, but I have been a part of a graphic design team under a local print shop. If that answers your question, is that what you're asking me? Have I did any freelance outside of my own company, or?
I guess either one would work. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I would consider under the graphic design team that I was under, they wasn't considered as freelance, but I did have the opportunity to join a team as a graphic artist to be able to print out a lot of orders according to what the clients or the businesses needed. So that was a great hands-on experience, being that I did not have any background in printing t-shirts after it was designed by me or one of the other artists on the team. So that was a great experience, because straight out of college, you know, we was in a pandemic, so I didn't get a lot of opportunity or experience with printing. So that was a great experience to join the team, to be able to see what is going on the production side of things.
Do you work while you're at home, or do you work in person for most days, or vice versa?
So I definitely work from home. During the time I did design for a print shop, I did used to go in. So fully now I do work from home, but at that time I did commute to the local print shop as well.
Do you interact directly with your clients, or is it virtually, or 50-50?
It's rare that I like interact with clients outside of my home. Now, if I have a client that is like a friend or family, I may see them or meet up, but that's rare that I meet up with a family member or a friend, because most of them are not in Texas. But I have had the experience where I was able to meet up with them regardless of them, you know, being a family member or a friend. I'll say 98% of the time, everything is virtually.
How does your job title fit into your company?
I would say because I started my company, so it will naturally be that I am the CEO, the founder, the principal graphic designer, because it was me that birthed Rachel Designs. So in my case, it's because I started my own company. That's how it fits in.
Did you have a specific software that you'd like to use, whether it was back in college or even now, and has it changed?
No, my favorite software would be Illustration. Yes.
What advice would you have on making a portfolio? So, for instance, that aspect of, okay, does this look good? Or, okay, this looks good to me, but will the client actually like it? That sort of thing. So, any advice on that?
Yes, I would definitely, first find out what path you want to take in this career after, you graduate from college. Now, doing research on the company, see what type of style design they lean toward too, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's not all about you, but then again, it's not all about you. It's always about the client. And then of course, understanding whatever team you're joining, like what are they looking for, and that's when you need to have your portfolio to reflect what they're wanting. So I would say make sure it's diverse. If obviously the company has different styles, I would definitely obviously keep a little bit of whatever they're not like really leaning toward, just to show the contrast of stating that, okay, I know how to do exactly what your company represent and what the niche is, but also showing that you are able to bring a little bit more to the table and things like that. So always start with what path you want to go. And of course, if this team that you want to join is more so a brand design, make sure that portfolio reflects, I would say 90% branding and whatnot, and then a little bit of that, unless obviously they don't want to see any of your style design and want somebody that can be a great asset to what they're trying to deliver to their clients. So it's all about knowing what the team that you're trying to join is wanting. And obviously, if you want to be a freelance designer, I would say reflect what your portfolio. I would say if you want to continue in that style and you don't find someone to like relate to your style, I feel like that is okay. And if you want to stick to it and push that narrative in your own company as a freelancer, you know, you're gonna find your clientele. So I don't know which direction you want to go and if you want to give up that style, you know, because at the end of the day, are you here to make money, or you want to, you know, make a career and still be happy with your style of design? I think it can go both ways. You just gotta understand the consequences behind whatever decision you make in the industry, because I mean, it can be difficult to find somebody that may like your style, but you know, it's vice versa. So it's your decision, but of course, who do not want to make money? So sometimes we can't make a decision of like, I'm not joining no one's team if they don't allow me to work in Photoshop. You know, like, okay, if you decide to make that decision, like, is your bills and stuff gonna be paid? Because sometimes you gotta get your feet wet and then, you know, leaning toward your style later on in life. But sometimes it can be vice versa. In my case, I had the option to start my own business and I was able to pick and choose what I wanted up front, but that's not the case for everybody. So you gotta just know, you know, how you want to play your cards, and can you afford to play your cards the way you want to and whatnot. So understand your path. Why are you still in college? So you can know how to, you know, market yourself in this forever evolving industry.
Do you also have any advice when it comes to job searching, especially for, I guess, graphic designers about to get their associates?
I haven't been in the market side of things for like searching for a job in the last 6 years, so I wouldn't like have the best or maybe updated, if so don't quote me on like that part. But what I would say is what I done when I was searching for a graphic design job was on Indeed, and I noticed that at that time a lot of like local print shops or like schools was like looking for part-time artists or graphic artists, as they was calling it on there. So I would definitely, for sure, Indeed is always my best friend, and I noticed based on their advertisement that their tools has gotten way advanced for it's like helping you narrow down your keywords and what are you really looking for. So Indeed would definitely be my go-to. Of course, LinkedIn will be my second go-to for it's like, you know, creating a LinkedIn page, putting all of your skills that you're very great at and put that on display, and you know, start marketing yourself on there. And also creating your own Instagram or Facebook page or wherever you want to like have your portfolio lived on. I strongly suggest, you know, you marketing yourself outside of like putting your resume and things on these platforms that requires you to post your resume, because we live in a world now where everything is like being heavily marketed on social media. So I would just say, why are you, you know, giving out your resume or posting your resume on these platforms? Create your own social media page. So I did notice that some of these companies are now asking for your social media page. So this would be a great time to like post some of your campaigns, projects that you have done during your time at Lone Star to help, you know, them have a sense of who you are and what your style is, and not bringing nothing to the table. So those would be my 3 options. Indeed, posting and putting all your professional skills and interests on LinkedIn, and then thirdly, social media for me.
So, how do you feel as a graphic designer about the use of AI nowadays? Because now I'm being told that, you know, graphic designers, they kind of have to not cater to AI, but at some point in time, you're gonna have to learn how to coexist with it, because nowadays it's kind of hard to, I guess, make stuff with our own, you know, knowledge and Adobe tools versus you can just go to AI and just plug in this, and give it to you. So, have you ever experienced that, and how do you feel about it?
Me strongly feel that AI will never replace graphic designers, and I totally not a big fan of AI artwork, because you really can tell that it's AI generated. And I'm on social media all the time because I market myself, and it's just like, oh my God, I instantly can know what a graphic designer or what we have produced rather than AI. And a lot of these companies, or for example, someone who want a quick flyer and things like that, don't really know what they really want. They just be playing with keywords. So I feel like the human touch of graphic design will never be replaced. The only tool I use right now for this industry would be Chat GPT, because I don't feel like I'm the best person when it comes down to describing every aspect of my project. So like, I get my point across using my own words, then of course I plug it into Chat GPT and make sure the spelling and the way I would love to express myself is like great. But for us, like using the prompts and all of that, I see a lot of mistakes in those designs, because I'm like, okay, notice like the hand looks fake, or if they're trying to generate themselves, they don't look like who they are. I'm like, okay, I know, like for example, I know you, Joshua. Joshua, where is this and that? So the features and stuff, it's just not as accurate as we know how. And I'm like, we spend too much time in this industry and earning our degree and certificate and things like that. So I'm never gonna give up my skills that I work hard for to allow AI to take away the great feeling it takes or you receive once you execute a project. Because I know the feeling of what you're going through now. So don't let AI take that away from you or make it feel like you're gonna be replaced. Like, if the job that you're seeking for want to continue using AI and stuff, continue to evolve as a graphic designer in your own space. Like when you're at home, or if you want to start your own career, show them that you're able to do it. And mainly, what graphic designers have the upper hand on is being able to listen and take notes down thoroughly, and to be able to pick the brain of the client. Of course, you're gonna have to do the work. If you're talking to AI don't know you from a can of paint. They only know what you put in those prompts. So I deal with a lot of clients who send emails and they can express themselves, but when we get on Zoom and I start picking their brain and showing them the color palettes and showing them the steps and allowing them to look at some of the group stuff like free font and things like that, they start to feel like, what, I feel like a graphic designer after learning these steps and going through the process with you to arrive to my identity and my brand logo design. So I won't get too scared about it. Obviously, stay in the know, because obviously we don't want to be so left behind that we don't know what tools and things out there. I have played around in AI and some of the software. I even took some classes on it because it was part of the group I was part of. So I wouldn't say that, be dumbfounded and turn a blind eye to it, because obviously we want to stay in the know, but just know that we just got to continue to step up our game, because who's going to replace me and you? Nobody, because we have that mindset that what a machine can do for others is really not 100% the best feeling at the end of the day.
What's your educational background?
My educational background is associated in applied science for visual communication. I also graduated from Lone Star College Westway in 2020. So that's my line of education.
I think that's it. Thank you again, Rachel, for this interview. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and thank you for giving me all your tips and pointers. I'll definitely be putting them in consideration.
Okay, well, Joshua, it was an honor to take out the time to speak with you. I was on the other end, like you, nearly 6 years ago, so I know it's kind of hard to find graphic designer to spend time with a student that's coming behind us to, be able to interview. So I know the feeling. So, it's Friday, and being that I just had a full day of work, it was an honor to squeeze you in before I get my weekend started. So I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that eat the meat and leave the bones on what I have stated, and hopefully whatever I said you apply it, and then hopefully that I'm around to see what you do in the industry, because we need more of us out here to produce and execute some great designs. So good luck, and you got this in the bag. Okay, Joshua?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Yes.
Bye.